Get ready to read all these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready.
Kid.
Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
Sound it out. Get ready.
Kid.
What word?
Kid.
Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready.
Seal.
What word?
Seal.
Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready.
Playing.
Yes, playing. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready.
Kit.
Yes, kit. Get ready.
Steal.
Yes, steal. Get ready.
Plane.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153.
The Twin Towers had a perimeter of steel panels hoisted up and bolted into place. Each panel had 3 box columns about 14 inches square, cross-connected by spandrel plates. After the plane hit, the fires were burning out and cooling down.
The flames on the south tower, which appear to be getting lesser and lesser, is where the smoke is getting progressively lighter and lighter, indicating that the fire officials are getting closer to putting this fire out.
But then, about 7 minutes before its final destruction, almost an hour after the plane hit, molten metal was seen coming out of the northeast corner near the 80th floor. The red-yellow metal poured from the tower along with a shower of sparks, and looked like steel in a foundry. And there were many eyewitnesses that described molten steel.
You'd get down below and you'd see molten steel running down the channel rails.
Later, we learned of very small spheres of iron found all through the dust. That iron must have been molten, allowing surface tension to pull it into those spheres. NASA took photos indicating very high temperatures days after the event, and Firewise professors were perplexed by melting of steel beams. And so we have direct video evidence, eyewitness accounts, forensic evidence, photographic evidence, and tangible evidence all corroborating temperatures high enough to melt steel. The media told us the intense fire, more than the impact, caused the towers to collapse. It melted the structural steel. But there's a problem. Office and open-air jet fuel fires cannot melt steel. The National Institute of Standards and Technology said that the maximum air temperatures was about 1,800 degrees or 1,000 degrees colder than what's needed to melt steel. So what can melt steel and explain all the evidence? Independent scientists began to piece that evidence together, and they suggested some type of thermitic material must have been used as part of the tower's demolition. The corporate media attacked all the evidence of thermitic material found. Mythbusters says the events of 9/11 will not be allowed to be debated and discussed. And the debunking websites say the thermite would have also needed to cut sideways. Not an easy feat for thermite. You see, it's a powder which burns chaotically, maybe with some device, but no working device has been proven to me to work to cut a vertical column. So we are led to believe that thermitic material cannot melt steel, cut steel horizontally or vertically, and would take massive amounts to do any real damage. So who's right in this great thermite debate? NIST and the media, or the independent researchers and scientists who stand nothing to gain? It's time we conduct our own experiments to answer these questions. Can thermitic material melt steel? Can it cut horizontally or vertically? And does it take massive quantities to do any real damage? Many wide-flanged beams were also used in the construction of the towers, connected in a variety of ways. Could thermite cut or weaken such a connection? Using the same beam from my eutectic steel video and another 12-inch beam, I proceeded to make a double-angle welded connection, which I set up on some 8-inch concrete slabs. I could not obtain nanothermite, so I made small quantities of old-fashioned thermate, which is not considered an explosive, with ingredients that are legal and readily available. Thermate is difficult to ignite. An ordinary fuse is not hot enough. But a magnesium strip, which burns white hot, will ignite the thermate, giving off heat and white smoke. NIST mentions bright white flames. Almost immediately, a bright spot appeared at the top of the window on the 80th floor. An unusual flame is visible within this fire. The upper photograph of a very bright white flame stands out. And let's listen to an eyewitness who was there.
I was on the 81st floor. Tell me what you saw and heard. It just I had 40 people in there, just an explosion. Just a light flash out my window. My whole doorway to the entrance to my office blew open.
What happened? We was in an explosion. We was in the lobby and the third explosion, the whole lobby collapsed on us.
What was it like? What was it like?
Horrible.
It's like hell. You don't want to know.
The whole building just collapsed on us inside the lobby.
Was that a secondary explosion?
Yes, it was.
That was the planet probably?
Yeah, definitely secondary explosion. Because we was inside waiting to go upstairs, and on the way upstairs, the whole fucking thing blew. And we just collapsed on everybody inside the lobby.
Similar to the first tower coming down, secondary?
I don't know about the first one, but I know the second one was terrible. Then there was a third one too after that one.
Third explosion after that?
Yes, sir. Everybody was inside the building, waiting to go upstairs. And they just let loose. Everything just let loose inside the building.
So what you told me is that there was a plane or whatever hit the building, then a secondary explosion.
It was like 3 explosions after that. We came in after the fire. We came when the fire was going on already. We was in the staging area inside the building, waiting to go upstairs. Then they exploded. The whole lobby collapsed on the lobby inside.
Silverstein, a commercial real estate tycoon with international political connections, acquired a 99-year lease on the World Trade Center complex in the spring of 2001. Throughout the summer, he reworked the insurance policies on his new property, making sure that it was covered for acts of terrorism. Compare this to the wallops sustained by World Trade Center 3, 4, 5, and 6. Positioned right below the towers, damage to the surrounding World Trade Center buildings was infinitely worse. Still, the structures held up. But somehow, rescue workers knew that Building 7 would fall.
You hear that?
Keep your eye on that building, it'll be coming down soon.
A 47-story skyscraper, Building 7 folded neatly in 6.5 seconds. A textbook descent right into its footprint.
This is a photo taken 1 second into Building 7's collapse. Notice the crimp. If we look at other controlled demolitions, we see that they first blow one of the central columns so the building falls in on itself. If you don't do this, the building falls outward and can damage surrounding structures. Building 7 had a classic crimp or wedge. Its central column was blown out first, so it didn't structurally damage buildings just a few feet away from it.
Remember the mayor's emergency bunker? Ensconced on the 23rd floor of Building 7, it was retrofitted with superglass, water, oxygen, and its own generator. But Mayor Giuliani chose to find emergency shelter elsewhere on September 11th. Also, in 6.5 seconds, lost forever were thousands of SEC case files on corporate fraud, including those relating to the notorious activities of giants WorldCom and Enron. A few indictments for stock fraud, but what of the $70 billion California electricity swindle? It disappeared. Larry Silverstein, new leaseholder of the World Trade Center, regretfully declared that a decision was made to pull Building 7 by the end of the day, the last structure added to the World Trade Center complex. Let's hear Mr. Silverstein's actual words, delivered for our benefit in the 2002 PBS documentary, America Rebuilds.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
After 9/11, Mr. Silverstein fought his insurers in court to obtain double his policy limits for the destruction of his property, maintaining that the double hijacking constituted 2 disasters caused by terrorists, not just one. He won and was awarded over $7 billion, a magnificent return on his original $15 million investment.
The famous 28 redacted pages in the 9/11 report have finally been released, and it pretty much says what we thought it said. So Benjamin Norton reports here, while in the United States, some of the September 11th hijackers were in contact with and received support or assistance from individuals who may be connected to the Saudi government, states the previously redacted portion of the 2002 Joint Congressional Inquiry into the 9/11 attacks. FBI and CIA documents disclose that while some of the September 11th hijackers were in the U.S., they likely had contact with Saudi intelligence officers, the pages reveal. The declassified document also shows that the intelligence community had information, quote, indicating that individuals associated with the Saudi government in the United States may have other ties to Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. Did you know that with the Syrian refugee crisis, what was Saudi Arabia's response? Yeah, we're not going to take anybody, so fuck off, but here's what we will do, because we're so kind. We'll pay for new mosques in Europe. Send the refugees to Europe, and we'll build these mosques. What mosques are they building, by the way? Are they building lovely Sufi mosques where they talk about peace and enlightenment and mysticism? No. Are they building Ahmadi mosques where they talk about how, you know, the best interpretation of Islam is to be super kind to poor people and to love one another? No, they ain't building those kinds of mosques. They're building Wahhabi mosques. So they're building the same ideology that ISIS has. The same fundamentalist, extreme, ultra-conservative interpretation of Islam, literalist Islam. These are the mosques they're building. If the U.S. doesn't do something now to try to untangle the relationship or do economic consequences, we're just going to ride this bitch into the rocks. Keep the status quo as it is until we hit the rocks and everybody, this whole civilization thing comes crumbling down.
I want Americans and all the world to know American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign. This will not be a campaign of half measures, and we will accept no outcome but victory, and we will prevail. Good afternoon. Yesterday, December the 13th, at around 8:30 p.m. Baghdad time, United States military forces captured Saddam Hussein alive. He was found near a farmhouse outside the city of Tikrit in a swift raid.
This is Judgment Day for Saddam Hussein. The verdict is in, guilty as charged, and the sentence is death by hanging. We want you to hear an exchange now between Hussein and the Iraqi judge in the courtroom during the sentencing. Here it is.
Stand up. We will read the verdict. Stand up. Yes? You listen to the verdict. I can't listen to the verdict. Stand up. No, I want to stay. I want to sit down.
يلا جوزوا منا جوزوا منا هو واقف جوزوا منا.
Move away from him.
جوزوا منا. هذه فائدة. حكي وياه.
The court has
قررت المحكمة
sentenced the defendant Saddam Hussein al-Majid to execution by hanging. Long live the people, down with the traitors. God is great. God is great. God is great. God is great. The punishment is according to the law. Long live the people. Down with the traitors. Down with the conquerors. You are the enemies of humanity.
What did Iraq have to do with what?
The attack on the World Trade Center.
Nothing.
Long live the people.